Welcome into Wild and Wacky Wednesday here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. And it's already a little wild and wacky because I'm here, Maurice Patton, for a midweek show along with David Wilson. Calvin White is handling some print duties, as we all have multiple hats that we wear around here. And so Calvin wasn't able to be with us today, so I'm sitting in for Big Red, Calvin White, today. But it'll be me and David here with you for the next couple of hours talking local, regional, and national sports content, again, on this fine hump day. Well, fine for most of us, maybe not so fine for Mr. Wilson. How goes it, sir?
How are we doing, Mo? Happy National Signing Day for those that celebrate. Um, my little
Some
tangent and
celebrating
rant.
quite a bit today, actually, as I'm sure we'll
Yeah,
get to at some point. Yeah.
my little rant is, National Signing Day when I was a kid growing up was like a national holiday. It was one day in February, and I would tell my parents I would want to not go to school that morning because guys would put the hats on the table and they would pick and they would duke you out. My have things changed over the last couple of years with these multiple signing periods and all that good stuff. So maybe we can revert back to the good old days, Mo, like it used to be. It would make a lot of sense for those that would want to keep their head coach through February, but that's a topic for another day. But other than that, and other through a little traffic violation, things are going well for yours truly.
That genie is not going back in that bottle, neither National Signing Day nor your traffic violation. Maybe you should raise up off that gas pedal a little bit, Mr. Wilson. But hey, it
Got
happens.
places
Hey,
to
it
go and
happens
people
to
to
all
see.
of us. Hmm.
Got places to go and people to see.
I understand. It happens to all of us, although it hasn't happened to me in a while. Anyway,
You
big
better
show.
knock on some wood. I said
I
that to somebody last week, and
ooh,
here I am. So
there you go.
knock on some wood for me.
The same thing that will make you laugh will make you cry. Big show today. In the second hour, we will be joined by our friend, NASCAR analyst Heather Williams of WCYB-TV out of Johnson City. We'll talk a little bit about NASCAR and its court battle with, as it's being characterized, with Michael Jordan, but actually with 2311 Racing and with Front Row Motorsports. We'll get an update from Heather on that in the second hour. I'm sure she will also offer some Kansas City Chiefs thoughts. I bet her Thanksgiving dinner did not go so well last week. In the next segment, we will be speaking with our friend in Las Vegas, Willie G. Ramirez, to talk a little WNBA and their collective bargaining talks that don't seem to be going especially well right now. But we'll let Willie G get us up to speed on that here in the next segment. We'll also be talking a little NBA. We will be talking a little college football, some signing day stuff, and other stuff across college football as we head into conference championships across the country this weekend. Talk a little college basketball as well. SEC ACC Hoops Challenge got started last night. Did not go so well for the aforementioned SEC. One team in particular. We'll talk about all that.
In orange
Um,
and white, correct?
yeah, against another team in orange and white, by the way. But anyway, also, it is Wild and Wacky Wednesday. We will close the show with the weirdest, wildest, and wackiest news from across the globe. No Florida, unfortunately. We looked, but things seem to be calming down in the Panhandle State. So, but there's plenty of other wild and wacky stuff to get into it, and we will again in the last segment of the show. So, big show as we edge ever closer again to conference championships this weekend, to high school football championships starting tomorrow in Chattanooga at the Blue Cross Bowl in Finley Stadium. 3 days, 9 games, and Mr. Wilson will be on hand for some portion of that anyway. David, what are your duties in Chattanooga?
So afternoon, I believe that is going to be 3 p.m. Eastern time. So 2 p.m. local for those of us in the mid-state. I will be on Division II single A game between University School of Jackson and National Christian, who has a certain five-star quarterback that made some news. If you've been paying attention over the last couple of days, and then I will be back in Chattanooga on Saturday night as well for a game I feel like we all are really excited for. That is the Class 6A state championship game between undefeated Oakland Patriots, the defending world champions, and then the Ravenwood Raptors and Coach Ricky Rodriguez. Should be a great matchup between the Raptors and Oakland, the Patriots. You know, you got two Division One quarterbacks on Ravenwood side taking on the mammoth of talent that is Oakland. So it should be a fun one from Finley Stadium on Saturday night in a cold Chattanooga.
Ricky Rodriguez going for that rare double, a boys tackle football championship to go with his girls flag football championship that he won back in the spring. Rare because
It's really
never
really
happened.
cool. It's a you know I feel like I know the answer to the question, but does it mean more winning the first ever girls one or winning one from the boys side? I'm curious to ask if that so happens to be the case.
Yeah, that would be an interesting conversation to have with Coach Rodriguez. Perhaps we can have it next week. Speaking of tomorrow on Coach's Corner, speaking of undefeated teams as well, we've got Page coach Charles Rathbone lined up to join us. The Patriots heading back to Chattanooga for the fifth straight year, taking on for the second straight year Sevier County. So should be a good matchup in Friday's finale as well. So plenty going on in Chattanooga over the next 3 days. But
Well,
at
it's
any
crazy
rate,
really quickly before you kind of dive in really quickly. You know,
mhm,
I feel like this Page team is the least talked about of the ones of years past, and it could probably be the one that could finally get it done. Which I don't know if that was something that we really thought about going into the season with all the talent that they lost. So a remarkable job by Charles to get that team back to Chattanooga once again to face a familiar opponent, as you mentioned.
yeah, I think that team hasn't been talked about as much for a handful of reasons. One, the talent that they lost from the previous years. Two, I mean, you get there 4 years in a row and they're, for lack of a better phrase, come up empty all 4 years, and maybe it becomes a little lackluster to some degree. But I will say, I saw him this past weekend against Centennial. This team seems more talented offensively than some of those others, and so we will dive into that a little bit more with Coach Rathbone tomorrow. Looking forward to doing so. As we dive into high school stuff, let's go ahead and dive into last night's results and today's schedule on the rundown.
This is the Rundown.
Scores across the TSSAA on a lengthy doubleheader traditional night on a Tuesday. Starting things off in girls basketball action, it was Beach picking up a 39-36 win over Blackman, who was previously undefeated and champions of the Mount Juliet Thanksgiving Tournament Invitational. It was Green Hill. I was on site for this one. Tune into the Chronicle of Mount Juliet and the Wilson Post website. They remained undefeated, won their sixth straight road game to start the year with a 54-45 win over Brentwood. McKinley Parker and KT Tolbert combined to score 46 of Green Hill's 54 points in that one. Camden Central picked up a 52-41 win over Houston County. It was Cane Ridge defeating Martin Luther King 76-29. It was Cheatham County all over Montgomery Central 60-19. In a girls only matchup down in Columbia, it was Columbia Academy picking up a 60-28 win over St. Cecilia Academy. It was Community defeating Mount Pleasant 78-16. Creekwood toppled Sycamore 60-34. It was Isa Harding all over Maplewood 85-25. Hickman County down to Fairview 53-18. Giles County over Fayetteville 55-39. Westmoreland defeated Friendship Christian 44-26. It was Father Ryan edging Hillsborough 64-58. It was Huntland defeating Culleoka 48-30. Mount Juliet bounced back from a loss to Blackman in the Mount Juliet Thanksgiving Tournament title game with a 30-point win over John Overton. 71-41 was the final score there. Clarksville Academy defeated Kenwood 82-48. It was Smyrna defeating Lead Academy 55-27. It was Pope John Paul II defeating Laverne 71-37. Lawrence County 66, Lewis County 20. Liberty Creek defeated Kirkwood 61-38. It was Columbia edging past Marshall County by double digits 40-25. It was Middle Tennessee Christian defeating Franklin Christian 85-28. Murfreesboro Central Magnet defeated Battle Creek 57-40. It was Page 63, Nolensville 57, Sumnertown 50, Perry County 42. Merrill High defeated Pleasant View 76-47. It was Hendersonville defeating Portland in a all Sumner County showdown 43-30. It was Providence Christian defeating Franklin Road Academy 78-49. It was Richland edging past Loretto 43-41. It was Ravenwood also picking up a really nice win last night, defeating Riverdale 56-45. Siegel 61, Centennial 23. It was Springfield defeating Gallatin for the second time this year, 69-37. It was Cookeville defeating Stewart's Creek 65-34. CPA defeated Summit by 37 points, 57-20 was the final score there. Upperman, head coach Dana Williams picked up a 48-25 win over Oakland, and Brentwood Academy defeated Whites Creek 57-24.
Man, you said it was lengthy. I didn't realize how lengthy it was until you started reading, and it's just as lengthy on the boys' side from last night. Blackman with a 51-43 win over Beach. Brentwood downed Green Hill 64-25. Camden Central with an 82-56 win over Houston County. Tennessee Heat defeated host Columbia Academy 75-64. Community 30 points better than Mount Pleasant, 59-29. Dixon County edges Clarksville 53-50. Hickman County with a 56-43 win over Fairview. It was Giles County 65, Fayetteville 30. They got their football guys back. Zion Christian with a 71-52 win over Franklin Classical. Hampshire defeats Agathos Classical 51-47. It was Culleoka defeating Huntland 59-54. Independence with a big Wilco win over Franklin 50-45. Overton 59, Mount Juliet 45. Smyrna 74, Lead Academy 62. Pope John Paul II 80, Laverne 43. Lewis County 20 points better than Lawrence County 73-53. Kirkwood with a 61-38 win over Liberty Creek. Marshall County downs Columbia Central 73-68. Middle Tennessee Christian with a 56-48 win over Franklin Christian. Murfreesboro Central edges Battle Creek 56-52. Page with a 70-57 win over Nolensville. Summertown edges Perry County 61-59. Pleasant View Christian 57, Merrill Hyde 42. Portland gets Hendersonville by 5, 50-45. Providence Christian 72. Franklin Road Academy 44. It was Loretto with a 6-point win over Richland 52-46. Ravenwood 70, Riverdale 37. Siegel 67, Centennial 34. Oh, good. It was no, I'm sorry. That's Siegel 87. Centennial 84. There we go. Wow. High scoring affair. Gallatin with a 63-57 win over Springfield. It was Station Camp 79, McGavock 17. Cookeville with a 53-49 win over Stewart's Creek. Summit edges visiting Christ Presbyterian Academy 67-57, and Upperman 93, Oakland 64.
Hopefully, in that Gallatin Springfield boys game, they did not go to 4 overtimes like they did in their original meeting to start this season. Continuing the slate from last night, men's basketball action. We mentioned this one previewing it yesterday with Wade and I on the show. Syracuse in the ACC SEC Challenge defeats Tennessee and Coach Rick Barnes 62-60. Last night at NHL down at Bridgestone Arena, it was the Nashville Predators defeating the Calgary Flames 5-1. In the association, my San Antonio Spurs defeated Wade's Memphis Grizzlies 126-119. Tonight's high school basketball schedule. This is traditional doubleheaders that we have on the menu tonight. It's Lead Academy at Maplewood at 6 o'clock. Boys and girls tip there. Another one that got moved from last night due to Election Day in District 7. This is Joe Burns at White House Heritage in a all Robertson County matchup. That boys game should be really good. Stay tuned to Calvin White on his social medias and the Connection and the Main Street Prep Sports page for coverage on that affair this afternoon. Tonight in women's basketball, this one's about to tip off in about an hour and 45 minutes at Memorial Gym in the ACC SEC Challenge on the girls' side. It's the Virginia Cavaliers taking on the Vanderbilt Commodores and Michaela Blakes, who are undefeated under head coach Shay Ralph. That one is 4 p.m. tip-off on the SEC Network. At 6:30, it's Belmont traveling to the Glass House to take on Rick Insell and MTSU, 6:30 tip on ESPN Plus. Tonight in the ACC SEC Challenge out in Palo Alto, California, 8:15 tip off on ESPN2 between Kim Caldwell, who are on the West Coast swing after their affair this past weekend against UCLA, take on the Stanford Cardinal. And men's basketball action this evening. This one is underway on ESPN Plus. We'll see if Mo can get us a score on this one. It's Tennessee Tech at Lipscomb in Nashville. Austin Peay takes on Kent State at 6 p.m. on ESPN Plus. It's Belmont hosting Richmond at 6:30, also on ESPN Plus. 7 p.m. tonight down in Alabama. It's TSU taking on Alabama A&M in Huntsville at 7 p.m. And tonight on a doubleheader at Memorial Gym, so you're going to get your money's worth if you're in the Nashville area tonight. It's SMU taking on Mark Byington's undefeated Vanderbilt Commodores, 8:15 on the SEC Network Plus. Ladies and
We
gentlemen,
do.
those were your scores from last night.
Stop. Lipscomb 83, Tennessee Tech 80 is your final from that game earlier today on the men's side. Now, go ahead.
Yell it at me. Ladies and
David?
gentlemen, those are your scores.
Well-
that was your lengthy schedule, and that concludes today's rundown.
You wouldn't
see-
stop talking.
It's the glitching from the network and the Wi-Fi in the Wilson Post office. So
You did warn
I'm not next to
us.
you. I'm not
did
next
warn
to
us.
you. I'm not next to you. So give me some patience.
Yeah, there we go. Your top story brought to you as always by the fine folks at Piggly Wiggly and Neely's Mill in Columbia. Be sure and check out their delicious daily deli lunch options available from 11 a.m. until 6 p.m. Also, their hand-cut meats and everything is cash plus 10% at the cash register. Piggly Wiggly, Neely's Mill, Columbia, bringing you our top story. And this is a story that will be near and dear to at least one person in Lebanon's heart. Former Los Angeles Laker and NBA forward Eldon Campbell, who played his college ball at Clemson University for former Cumberland University coach Cliff Ellis, passed away recently at the age of 57. Again, Campbell played 15 years in the association, including 4 with the Lakers, also with the Detroit Pistons, where he won a NBA championship in 2004, the Hornets of Charlotte, as well as the Hornets of New Orleans, the Seattle Supersonics, and the New Jersey Nets. So Eldon Campbell played basketball in a lot of places where basketball is no longer played. But again, 15 years in the league, was a 2-time All ACC pick, All ACC selection, excuse me, with Clemson, again, where he played for Cliff Ellis, the legendary Cliff Ellis. I'm deeply saddened to learn of Eldon Campbell's passing. Eldon was a great player for 4 years, especially in 1989-90, when he was a major reason we won Clemson's only ACC regular season championship. But most of all, Eldon was an outstanding giving person. This is a sad day for the Clemson family. Those are the words of Coach Ellis, as he was quoted in the LA Times discussing the passing of Eldon Campbell, Clemson's all-time leading scorer, 1,880 points, and the second all-time leader in block shots for that program. And, you know, I'm not sure, David, how familiar you are with him, but I mean, again, 15 years in the NBA, it's a solid career.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a 1999. So obviously me physically watching him, very limited, unless I was watching the tube when I was around 5 or 6 years old. But I definitely can appreciate just the greatness and the length of a 15-year career, especially in the league at that time. I believe most known, and you can correct me for this, for his time with the Lakers, obviously overlapped with Shaq and Kobe in the late 90s, and obviously went on to win a championship against his former club with the Detroit Pistons in 2004. But you can definitely appreciate the duration of his career. And obviously, anytime you're the all-time leading something in a program's history, that is definitely something to be accounted of, especially at a place like Clemson, that's had some really good players in the ACC and is, a really good program as well. So anytime you hear news like this, you are saddened in the sports world. It's just a reminder to all of us that life is very short and you have to live it at the fullest.
There we go. Clemson Hall of Fame inductee in 2000 was also named earlier this year to the Southern California Basketball Hall of Fame. Eldon Campbell has passed away at the age of 57, and our condolences to the Clemson family and the basketball community at large. Let's take a break here as we continue Wild and Wacky Wednesday on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. When we come back, we will be joined by Willie G. Ramirez of ESPN Las Vegas as we talk a little WNBA. Stick around.
Closer. All new Sportsbook, the latest gaming machines, live horse racing, and more. The Mid Gaming Hall, Kentucky Downs.
Winning just got closer.
This holiday season, the largest lantern festival in the country returns to Nashville Zoo. Experience more than 1,000 all-new handcrafted lanterns, towering creatures, magical worlds, and the North Pole Village. At the center of it all, the Smashville Ice Rink. Welcome back to Zoolumination at Nashville Zoo. Bigger, brighter, and better than ever.
Busy bee, yeah, busy bee. If you need
Hold on, y'all, hold on. I need to make a call. Hey, this is Brianna with Busy Bee. I'm giving you a call to let you know your technician is on his way.
3-3.
Oh, busy bee. Guys, not yet. Not yet.
Busy bee, oh,
Now I'm ready, guys.
Call 775-7833.
Custom Stone Handlers supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with Riverstone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe the measure of any person or company is how you treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStoneHandlers.com.
Wild and Wacky Wednesday continues here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. That's David Wilson. I'm Maurice Patton. Joining us now from Vegas, it's Willie G. Ramirez. Mr. Ramirez, good afternoon. Thanks for taking some time with us today. Can't hear you, Willie.
There we go.
There we go. There we go.
Got
Good
him now.
afternoon, sir. What's
What's
up?
happening? How are we?
We're doing well. How are you?
Doing good. Doing good. Trying to ease in. I just done 10 straight days of events, either here in Las Vegas or working out of Las Vegas, covering things remotely. Last week, College Basketball Central. We had the Players Era Tournament here in Vegas, Players Era Championship, as they call it, with a lot of good basketball, and then the introduction of 4 women's teams starting the women's. And they all announced they're coming back next year. They want to go bigger. So the highlight for me, as you know, Mo, with as much as I love women's basketball, was getting to see 3 of the top 4 teams in the nation. Duke being the 4th. Can you imagine that? Last week, the 4 women's basketball teams in Las Vegas for the players era, 3 of them in the top 4, and Duke was the team that was not ranked. So we had South Carolina here, we had UCLA here, we had Texas here, 2, 3, and 4. The 4 seed wins it. And then I got a chance to see some of the men's teams. And let me tell you something, Michigan is no joke. So Michigan on the men's side, Texas was really impressive to me. And of course, just catching up with Don Staley and UCLA and whatnot. I got a big project that was due a couple of days ago, but I'm giving it its just due on UCLA senior Kiki Rice.
Wade will be pleased to hear you say that Michigan is no joke. He is our in-house Wolverines fan, and he was pretty excited about their performance out there this past week, as were, a lot of folks that weren't Michigan fans, including yourself, obviously. But Willie, wanted to get with you because the WNBA's collective bargaining agreement continues to be a topic of discussion, and it feels like it's fair to say talks aren't going as well as either the players or the league would have hoped at this point.
Yeah, I think it's the players. Obviously, they're whether they believe what is being offered is enough or that they think that there's more. I'm not sure. Obviously, we're not privy to that. There are people that are a little more dialed in with the league office, and they're getting their leaks from sources in terms of what's on the table. But as far as what the bargaining chip is and what the holdup is, it remains to be seen. I can only imagine it has to do with the revenue share. When currently, under the league's latest proposal for 2026, the max salary would be guaranteed $1 million base, projected revenue pushing total earnings for max players to more than $1.2 million. And then the average player salary projected to exceed $500,000, and then also exceed $225,000 in the first year. Whereas right now, your guarantees are right around, without being specific, in the range of around $60,000, and you're maxing out with no more than around $275,000. So the salary cap is proposed to increase to $5 million in 2026, and that's tied directly to the revenue growth in each year of the CBA. So that's the money part of it. It is a significant hike. If they're unhappy with that, I can only imagine what they're asking for, and it has to do with based on the media deal that the WNBA cut and what they think. Remember, a lot of people keep saying, well, the players want revenue share, but the league hasn't been making any money. They're not asking for revenue share based on what's been made. It's on what they're going to make and the growth off of that. So you have to excuse me. Matter of fact, I got a checkup after this live. I'm going to get a shot. That it makes sense that they want more. I just don't know how much more you can ask for, because when you're getting a significant hike, especially when I would imagine the proposal, there's built-in growth for the next CBA, right? It's not going to stay at this number. It's going to continue to grow in percentage.
Interesting stuff. The money doesn't seem to be the only issue, though, Willie. But I mean, that's an issue, and it's a big one. But seems like the WNBA has proposed a couple of things. One, a different start time for the season, about 2 months earlier, basically. What would that look like if they start in March? Obviously, the rookies that you get out of the NCAA wouldn't be available. When do you add them? Do you add them? How does that work? And what's the rationale behind starting earlier?
I haven't had a chance to, the last couple of weeks with some of the stuff that's been here in Vegas, I've run into several WNBA players, to be nameless. And that stuff wasn't on the table at the time. It was more or less the revenue share. So I haven't had a chance to really brief anybody or see anybody or talk to anybody on that. But, as far as the existing players, I don't know if they would have a problem in starting early. What it looks like and how it impacts the outside of the world. Well, it would impact some of the players, to be honest with you, because if they're overseas, They'd have to come back sooner. They're used to coming back by May 1st and getting in back to the States and getting acclimated, getting their sleep, and then playing catch up back in America. So that would interfere with their money that they're making overseas. Number one. Number two, you're talking about starting. If you're starting in March, you're starting during the NC2A tour. Let's say it's March 15th. That's about when the tournament starts. So there's 2 weeks of training camp where, and I've asked this question the last 2 years for mental health aspect to Caitlin Clark, to Haley Van Lith, to Paige Beckers, to Nika Mule, where they start in October. And if they are a national contender, they're running through the end of March, maybe the first week of April, right? And then they go to the draft a week later, and 2 weeks later they're in training camp, and then they're playing in the league. So they would have no time off. They wouldn't even have those 2 weeks. They would have 1 week from, and the WNBA is demanding in terms of when you show up for the draft and appearances and the B-roll and the footage that they put out there. So it would really impact the top rookies, right? The top draft picks of all of them in both rounds. So that would be tough. It would be tough on Unrivaled. And I have to wonder if they're being manipulative where it looks very legitimate, right? Hey, we're playing back-to-back games. We're playing 3 games in 4 nights. This is ridiculous. We need to figure out the schedule. Okay, well, we're going to extend it for you. Here's what we can do. They can't go any later into the season because some of these WNBA teams share venues with NBA teams. So how are you all of a sudden going to – you can't extend it further past October. You're going to have 2 teams going to a certain date in October, maybe the first week of November. You can't go any further because now you're in a 7-game finals. And if they eventually want to extend the opening round and the second round, that causes a problem. So the only way to do it is start sooner. So, but at the same time, they're thinking, well, I guess you're going to have to figure something out with Unrivaled, right? Because Athletes Unlimited, which will be back in Nashville, by the way, I believe is in February. So, or January or February, so that it wouldn't necessarily affect them. They would actually hit the ground running with not a lot of time to worry about in between where they get cold. They could just go right to training camp. Unrivaled, it could impact the overseas players. It could impact, and obviously the rookies coming out of college. It definitely would impact them because there's no break. And remember, no break means they have been playing basketball since October.
Willie G, another thing that's coming out of this collective bargaining talk, at least from the WNBA side, is the proposal of a WNBA draft combine. Is something that they're looking forward to maybe introducing on the table. This is kind of something that's mirroring maybe the style that the NBA did with its latest proposal. What are your thoughts on a draft combine for college prospects coming into the WNBA?
It makes sense to have a combine. The problem is the NBA, and when they get going, remember the season ends in June. The draft is then. They don't start until October, right? So there's a lot of time in between. When they're going to get those players to go to the combine, I don't know if they were to extend this season. So it would. I mean, I don't have a problem with it. It makes sense, right? To get a look at it. The thing is, you have WNBA coaches attending these games. They know what they're capable of doing. They already know their style of play. I mean, combines are great and they're fine and everything. You're looking at individual skills, but in reality, a lot of those combines, just like we see with the NFL combine, they're looking at individual, the vertical, their sprints, how they run here. But you still want to know what they can do in game time. I don't have a problem with it if that's what they want to do, to put them together in this little mini camp and get their individual skills and whatnot, skill sets. But I think they want to know what they can do in a team aspect. So I think the bigger issue that they may have with the league, which was reported by Front Office Sports as Annie Constable, is the housing. The league is looking to take away the housing from the WNBA players, whereas right now there's X amount of dollars based on each market. Like in Las Vegas, I believe, you could get something. You get a stipend of around $1,100 a month. In New York, it climbs to like $2,700 a month. And if you have kids, there's expenditures for that as well, to help you out with housing. Well, if you're going to all of a sudden get an increase, right, where the minimum salary for a rookie is going to be $200 plus $1,000, and the average salary is going to be somewhere in $500,000, and you're capping out around 1.2, they're going to take away the housing. It makes sense. The problem there is with a lot of these places is you're signing leases. What if you get traded? What if you get cut? We all know how hard it is to come into the league and then sustain that spot. We all know how touchy the WNBA coaches are and will cut you at any given time. So if you are no longer on the WNBA's dime or have a relationship with the local team with certain residences, certain places, certain wherever they may be staying, luxury condos, and you have an agreement and they can leave, and the league or the team may take care of it, now you're on your own. So I think that they need to – I'm sure that they would have to define the terms with that, or maybe keep a relationship with the teams. For instance, in Las Vegas, where the Aces facility is, which is right next to the Raiders in Henderson, is you have 3 or 4 different places and you have an agreement and say, hey, we're going to have our players. They can come check out your place. Here's what we want to do. And then it's on them. But maybe have them sign a 6-month agreement with an opt-out in case they don't, they get traded or they're not with the team. Because there's a lot of other I's to be dotted and T's to be crossed when it comes to that situation.
I've always been fascinated by that aspect of athletics, Willie, particularly, we've got a minor league team here. Y'all have a minor league team for now in Vegas, the up and down, the trades, that kind of thing. And those guys, a lot of times they're not getting here and they don't know if they're going to get here until they're here. And trying to get that housing aspect addressed is, I would expect that to be a pretty arduous task. And so to that point, it would seem like there's got to be a happy medium between the WNBA or the team taking care of that and the players being told you're on your own. It's got to be something there, just because of the volatile nature of you're here, you're not, that kind of thing. It'll be interesting to keep an eye on. But again, just generally speaking, it sounds like things aren't as close to being resolved as anyone would have liked as we sit here the first week of December.
It's not. I don't think it's anywhere close. And the problem is and I could be dead wrong on this, but when you're on the outside looking in, or whether you're covering it, I don't think it was a good look on either side. When you had Nafisa Collier calling out Kathy Engelbert the way that she did, when you had Kathy Engelbert coming into the press conference the way that she did here in Las Vegas, and I'll tell you right now, it's a very uneasy feeling for a lot of us who know Kathy well. She's always treated the media, to those she has a relationship with, fairly. And I can tell you this, in years past since Vegas has been here, Kathy walks around the Michelob Ultra Arena and shakes hands and says hi. And she's a pro. She rolls with the security team, but I roll up on her and there's a big hug and it's like, hey, can I talk to you real quick away from everybody? Yeah, no problem, Willie. Okay, and we go. Kathy was nowhere to be seen after her press conference here in Las Vegas. She stepped in that room, she spoke, and she was gone, ghost. So not necessarily a good look with that tension that brewed between Fee and Kathy. And so when that's put like that, the way that it was put on both sides, it's almost as if nobody's going to back down now, because you sort of drew a line in the sand before you had to. You grow to that certain point, and maybe the players could say, well, no, we've been growing to that point for years. But here's the thing. I love the WNBA, and that's why, Mo, since you and I have been introduced from our good friend Teresa, you've had me on more times to not talk about Las Vegas sports, but to talk WNBA league-wide. But I will tell you this. As they've continued to grow power, they've never not had a complaint. At some point, You got to stop complaining about everything and just be happy at some point and say, okay, like for instance, the schedule. How many times have we seen during a season a player say, we have to do a better job about worrying about the health and welfare for these women. We're playing 3 games in 4 days. We're playing 3 road games in 4 nights. We play back-to-back in LA and then Vegas, and then we have a day off, but we got to go to Phoenix. Okay. So does the NBA, and they play 82 games. So does Major League Baseball. Okay, that's not as physical up against body. How about the NHL? NHL is more physical than the WNBA, the NFL, the NBA, Major League Baseball. They're hitting you into the boards. They're playing. Golden Knights are going back east. They're playing the Metro 3, I think, across 4 nights or 5 nights. Jersey, Rangers, Islanders. That's a physical game, and they're doing the exact same thing in terms of scheduling. So get over it when it comes to having to play 3 games in 4 nights, 3 games in 5 nights, 3 games in 6 nights with only 1 night in between and travel and this. We need rest and recovery. Welcome to the world of professional sports. I love the WNBA. I love women's basketball, but they have not stopped complaining. They won the battle for charter flights. They got them. Okay, what can we complain about next? I get it. You guys have been buried. You've been behind the 8 ball. You have not gotten everything that you deserve, and you still need to get more. But at some point, you have to look and say, okay, we're getting stuff. It's coming, and just chill and be patient, because I feel as if if they got everything that they demanded in this CBA, when all said and done, next training camp comes, they're going to be like, yeah, but there's a lot of work to do. What? What now? I love them to death. I do. I love them to death. I think A'ja Wilson is probably one of the greatest human beings that this town could ever be thankful for. I really do. She is the face of sports in Las Vegas. Hands down, period. And I'm not singling her out about to say she complains, but I'm just saying that's how much I recognize, appreciate, and love women's sports. But at some point, understand and recognize that it's not a continuing negotiating process of, okay, we got this. Next, here's what we want. Here's what we want. We're not doing it. We're not doing this. You're not doing this. You're not. And make it make sense. Again, I'll go back to it. I think this every single year about scheduling. When they complain about having back-to-back nights and we need to do a better job for rest and recovery. We're human beings. I get it, but the NHL has been doing it for years upon years upon years. The NBA, the same thing. So are those seasons spread out? Yes, I get it. But that's what the WNBA is about to do, Mo. Right? That's what they're about to do. They're spreading it out. What are they going to say? Hey, we did what you asked. Spread the season out. Oh, but now it's in March. Now what are we supposed to do about Unrivaled? What are we supposed to do about overseas? Well, I don't know. Why don't you come into the league and tell us what you want us to do? How about this, players? If you're upset about the scheduling and it's condensed, come make the schedule and we'll see if we can work. But you do it. You tell us what you want. Oh, you want to go into November and December? You're cool with that? Fine. You work with the NBA and figure out the arena situation. I mean, that's what I'm telling you. So sometimes it's a lose-lose for the WNBA because they're dealing with a lot. I get what the players are saying. I appreciate what the players are saying. They deserve every bit of revenue sharing that they're asking for. They deserve a hike in pay. They deserve more money. They should be getting every bit of revenue share percentage-wise as any other league is getting. The fact that A'ja Wilson, Nafisa Collier, Brianna Stewart, Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, you name her, Paige Beckers, the fact that they get that much money from a jersey sale is BS. I get it. You guys, you ladies deserve the world. But there are certain things that you're reaching. So there you go.
Willie G. Ramirez of ESPN Las Vegas joining us here on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Always value Willie's insight on anything, but particularly on the WNBA, you can follow him at Willie G Ramirez on Twitter. You can also check out his website, wgramirez.com, for more information. Willie, as always, we appreciate it. Go get your shot, man. Get to feeling better, and maybe mix in another shot, if you know what I mean.
Oh, that's not my
That's not your thing.
That's not my bag, man. You know what I do? I got a little place down the road here, which I'm not going to say. In case some locals are watching. I got my own little spot, a little glass of red wine. I'm good.
Okay.
Or maybe a hot toddy from time to time. But those other shots, those are for my 80s and 90s days.
I got you. I understand. I understand. When you know better, you do better. Willie, we appreciate it, man. Take care of yourself. If we don't talk to you, have a great holiday season, and we'll catch up.
Let's catch up soon. We'll talk some women's college hoops.
Absolutely. We'll do it. Thank you. Let's take a break here as we continue Wild and Wacky Wednesday on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. When we come back, we'll talk a little college football. Stick around.
Columbia Power and Water Systems is dedicated to bringing our customers reliable, local service. Whether you're turning on a light switch, your faucet, or streaming on TV, our dedicated team members from here in Murray County work every day to keep you on. If you need us, call us 931-388-4833 or visit cpws.com. CPWS, local service, local support.
Zion Christian Academy at zioneagles.org or 931-388-7531. You can schedule your appointment to visit their beautiful campus. Again, zioneagles.org or 931-7531 to schedule your visit today.
Nashville's Nutcracker, presented by Nashville Ballet, returns to TPAC November 29th through December 28th. This holiday season, audiences will journey with Clara and the Nutcracker Prince through Nashville's history and the land of sweets. Tickets on sale at NashvilleBallet.com.
We continue Wild and Wacky Wednesday here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. I'm Maurice Patton. Excuse me. Willie's contagious. That's David Wilson. As we mentioned at the top of the show, it is National Signing Day for college football, and Vanderbilt found a couple of presents under its tree. Late arrivals there in the form of Nashville Christian quarterback Jared Curtis, who flipped from Georgia. Much conjecture about that move over the course of the day yesterday before he finally announced it late yesterday evening. Lot of excitement among black and gold fans as the momentum continues for that football program, not that team, coming out of this weekend's 45-24 win over Tennessee and continuing with that development. And now we have seen a tweet earlier today that Curtis isn't the only flip for the Commodore recruiting efforts. Christ Presbyterian Academy receiver Owen, and I'm not sure if it's Cable or Cabell, but
It's cable.
it is cable. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Well, Vanderbilt fans should figure out how to pronounce his name because he's going to be catching passes for the Commodores and not the Crimson Tide, to whom he had initially committed. So
Yeah, Merry Flipmas, Mo. It's that time of year. But if you're Vanderbilt fans, you would have to believe this is the ripple effects of when you sign a five-star quarterback that people are going to want to come play alongside him, especially in the mid-state. And obviously, Vanderbilt has had great success recruiting athletes from Ingle Martin's program over at CPA. You think about Langston Patterson, you think about Kane Patterson, both brothers who played at CPA under Ingle that have had really good careers at Vanderbilt. Obviously, wide receiver London Humphreys had a really good freshman year at Vanderbilt before transferring to play now for the Georgia Bulldogs. So there is a lineage, there is a pipeline there, and obviously CPA is one of the most talented teams and programs in the mid-state. So why not continue to hit on that? But it's really exciting if you're a Vanderbilt fan. Once again, anytime you have Clark Lee called him the best prospect in the country. Coming to your position or to your program and staying home, you can build a roster around him. And Jared Curtis is going to excite a lot of fans. He's probably been the most popular high school recruit on Twitter. He's been trending for weeks to come ever since his visit to First Bank Stadium against Mizzou when College Game Day was there. But I know they're happy to have him in the black and gold and to have him a very standout receiver in that room as well is going to be nice as well.
it is, and you know, when you've got that kind of talent, you want to put as many good folks around them as you can, obviously, and just kind of again continue to build on the momentum that they have built up with their first ever 10-win season. Unfortunately, the people in charge of the college football playoff have not been as impressed with the things that have gone on West End as many others. Vanderbilt 14th in the college football playoff rankings that were announced last night. No move from last week. And
Clark Lee has been upset about that. I was listening to him on a radio show last night, and it's just I don't think the committee has a respect for their body of work. They went on the road and defeated Tennessee by 21 points. It was the number 19 team in the country, and they fell not only in the AP poll by a spot. They fell, and they didn't move up in the college football playoff rankings. So not to cut you off, Mo, but
No.
I don't think they just have a respect for that body of work. If they did blind resumes, I think that they would have the potential of a top 12 team, but because they see that star V or that V on the logo, they still think it's the Vanderbilt of old per se.
You're showing your age with the star V, but yeah, I do think it's a situation where your reputation kind of precedes you a little bit, and that it's unfortunate that Vanderbilt is having to deal with that. I'm not sure how a blind resume would go, but you beat a ranked team, all of a sudden that team falls out of the rankings, and as a result, that's not a good win. It's like this committee is making decisions, and I've used this phrase on a different situation earlier today, but it fits. It's like they've made a decision and then they have retrofitted their argument or their rationale to the decision that they've made. And basically, it feels like they've decided Vanderbilt is not worthy of being one of the top 12 teams or being a playoff team. And now we're going to figure out why it is that they're not worthy of it. Well, that Tennessee team that they beat wasn't very good. Never mind that they were ranked when they played them.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Missouri was ranked when they played them. South Carolina was the number 10 team in the country, and they beat them on the road at the time. So we will see. I mean, this committee
and I don't know
turned
what
a lot of heads per se.
I don't know what there is you can do about other teams staying in the rankings.
Right.
I mean,
this committee has made a lot of noise, Mo, and obviously we know that I'm the representative of the Notre Dame Fighting Irish on this show, but I'm not looking at Notre Dame through rose-colored glasses. Miami beat them on the field. Now, do I believe that Miami is a better team right now than Notre Dame? I do not, but the head-to-head has to matter in some point. So if we find ourselves with Notre Dame one spot ahead of Miami at this end of this weekend on Sunday, you're going to open up a whole can of worms because teams are not going to want to play these out-of-conference or big games if they're not going to be rewarded for the win on the field.
Yeah, it's tough. And head to head has to mean something. I don't know how you create a world where who you beat doesn't have some impact. I mean, especially when you're looking at all of these super conferences that you've got right now, and there is so little head to head at times in conferences. It's
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, Notre Dame and Miami are side by side. They both are 10-2, both similarly. Now, one is not a part of a conference, but one plays majority of its schedule of an ACC conference. So there are similar opponents there. And like I said, I'm a Notre Dame fan. I truly believe if those two lined up and played football right now, that Notre Dame would win and be the better team. With that being said, though, that week one matchup should matter. We'll see what happens. I'm of the opinion, and this is the minority, and I might, get crucified here in the South. I believe if Alabama loses a third game and potentially loses by double digits to Georgia, they should be out of the rankings with 3 losses. So, it is what it is. I believe that BYU is essentially in a win and end game this week. So there's a lot to still be determined.
BYU's in a win and end game, but that game's against Texas Tech, right?
Who they got throttled by in the regular season.
So, it's going to be an interesting situation to pay attention to over the weekend, and plenty of people will be doing that very thing, obviously. But yeah, the committee's kind of struggling a little bit right now, and I don't even know if saving face is on their list of priorities, really, because I mean, who's holding them accountable? So we'll.
Some things will be definitely set in motion if Miami is behind Notre Dame this week, and I can feel that coming, and I can feel it coming as well if Alabama gets booted out, which I believe that they should with 3 losses, but some would say that, since they made the SEC championship game, they should be given the benefit of the doubt. But we've seen teams fall after losing in these games, so there's only so far for Alabama to fall before they're out of the rankings.
Yeah. We'll see. Ben Roethlisberger has a podcast. I don't know if anybody listens to it or not. I don't, but I saw something about this earlier today. The former Pittsburgh Steeler quarterback trying to fix things for everybody, suggesting that maybe Mike Tomlin would be a great fit at Penn State.
I mean, what's crazy about
I thought Mike Tomlin had a job.
The Titans, and we know it's a dumpster fire over there on Ascension St. Thomas Sports Park. They would hire Mike Tomlin the second he was fired to provide some stability. I mean, they need a quarterback, and I mean, it's not Mike Tomlin's fault that they're good enough year after year to be a winning football team. I mean, they got to find a quarterback, but it's not his fault. He's not going to lose games. He's going to have winning seasons. He's never had a losing season, so I'm not going to doubt him now.
Yeah. And I guess Tomlin would be in play at Penn State because that position continues to be open.
Jeff Brom just said no this afternoon.
Jeff Brom ain't leaving Louisville. Kalani Sitake apparently has said no as well. The BYU coach has been extended there after he's been connected with that vacancy. Meanwhile, Georgia Tech has extended Brent Key as well. So there's another. I don't know if he was necessarily a Penn State candidate, but he's off the market.
Hey, I'll take a couple million. I'll take a couple million to go to State College. Hey, you can Penn State. You can call me. Hey, right here. I'm waiting.
Have you been to State? Have you been to State College before?
I've not, but I'll find my way for a couple million.
You finding your way. It's not easy to get to, and it's cold. It's a bad combination. But
we don't do cold on this show. At least these two.
Yeah. Some coaching positions have been filled, apparently. Brian Hartline is going to get the gig at South Florida, the Ohio State offensive coordinator, finally going out on his own. Apparently, K-State is going to open. Reports are that former K-State quarterback Colin Klein will be leaving his post as offensive coordinator at Texas A&M and returning to the Wildcats as the top cat. And Neil Brown, former West Virginia coach, has been named at North Texas. North North Texas's
It's,
coach is now the Oklahoma State coach. So
it's been not if but when it comes to Brian Hartline. In Ohio State, obviously, he's a fantastic recruiter, particularly at the wide receiver position. I mean, you consider right now Ohio State wide receiver university with the talents that they've not only put in the league, but the talent they have on their roster right now. Interested to see with signing day, obviously being now in the next couple of days, if that has an effect on their wide receiver recruits. Obviously, Chris Henry is a 5-star prospect. I believe that has not put pen to paper to the Buckeyes yet, maybe because of this. But he'll do a really good job at a really good job. South Florida is a good group of 5 school. And obviously, you mentioned Colin Klein, done a more fantastic job with Marcel Reed. And so him being able to go back home will be a really good fit for him in Manhattan.
Absolutely. That's our number 1 of Wild and Wacky Wednesday here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. When we return, we'll get into the grab bag. At 3:20-ish, we'll be visiting with Heather Williams of WCYB-TV out of Johnson City, talking a little NASCAR, and it is Wild and Wacky Wednesday. We will close the show with the weirdest, wildest, and wackiest news from across the globe. Join us when we come back. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50-plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy at zioneagles.org or 931-388-7531. You can schedule your appointment to visit their beautiful campus. Again, zioneagles.org or 931-7531 to schedule your visit today.
Is your internet slowing you down? It's time for an upgrade. Whether you're at home, working from your home office, or at your business, it's time to unleash the speed you need with speeds up to 1 gig at CPWS for as low as $70 a month. Give us a call, 931-375-7777. Local service, local support, CPWS.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Welcome back into hour number 2 of Wild and Wacky Wednesday here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. That's David Wilson. I'm Maurice Patton. Night 1 of the SEC ACC Hoops Challenge took place last night. And if last night was any indication, if you are a road team tonight, you may be in pretty good shape because road teams won 6 of 9 matchups last night. Also, the ACC won 6 of 9 matchups last night, including North Carolina going into Rupp and picking up a 67-64 win over Kentucky. But closer to home, Tennessee, I didn't get to see a lot of this game because I was out covering stuff, doing my other job. But Syracuse takes a 62-60 win at the Carrier Dome or whatever it is that they call it now. And it felt like from the updates that I was getting, Tennessee was kind of playing from behind the whole time, got it tied, but never could really wedge ahead. Tough loss, their second straight after losing to Kansas in their final game of that Players Era championship event that Willie G. Ramirez was talking about a little bit ago. But we talked to Blake Lovell on Monday a little bit about this event and some of these games. Duke edging Florida by a point at Cameron. That and the Carolina-Kentucky game were probably the two headliners last night, and the ACC gets both of them.
Yeah, I mean, Todd Golden in Florida, they're your defending national champions down in Gainesville. Man, they've played a really hard schedule, at least when it comes to some ranked opponents through the first couple of weeks. Obviously, you mentioned their matchup against Duke last night. They also played Arizona to kick off the year out in Las Vegas in the Hall of Fame series. So Todd Golden's really challenged that group. Obviously, they played a Providence team that's historically made the national tournament as well, and they beat Miami down in Jacksonville. So they've played some people, right? And I appreciate that about these teams, and I appreciate that about Coach Rick Barnes as well. You mentioned that the couple losses that they had, these guys are going out and playing each other. You look at Alabama's schedule; they went out and played Purdue, they played Illinois. I like it when the top teams in the country. We mentioned historically the State Farm Classic between Michigan State, Kentucky, Duke, Kansas. I like it when we get that competition early in the year to see where these teams are, and you can really help your resume. I don't think any team's helped their resume more the last couple of weeks probably than Vanderbilt. You think about what they did down in Atlantis and what they've been able to do with the road win at UCF. Vanderbilt's done a really good job of boosting their resume as well. They moved up to the number 17 team in the country, I believe. So there's opportunities when you play these early games to boost your resume towards March.
And we sure like to watch it for sure. Big win for Bucky McMillan and the Aggies going to Pittsburgh and getting an 83-71 victory there. I mean, it was, neither of those teams is ranked, but just, a first-year coach going on the road and picking up a win against a Power 4, Power 5 conference team like that's got to say something for A&M here in the early going.
Yeah, I mean, the SEC was so good last year, Mo. I mean, what we have double-digit, was it 12 teams maybe that made the tournament? And so I think we've maybe declined a little bit. I don't know if we can sustain that peak. I mean, goodness, last year, night after night in the SEC, if you weren't playing South Carolina, you had an opportunity to get beat if you didn't play well, if you didn't shoot the ball well, or you didn't defend. So the SEC definitely has some talent. And I mentioned the matchups. We can't forget that UConn and Kansas played, and UConn picked up a big win over Kansas, 61-56. So I'm thinking about it, Mo. I think about the pieces. I'm going back to Vanderbilt really quickly. The pieces that they've acquired in the portal, I think they can make some noise potentially to be in contention for that SEC title this year. I really do.
Again, we spoke with Blake Lovell from Southeastern 16 earlier this week, and he feels like right now Vanderbilt is in position to be one of the top 4 teams in the league. And if you're one of the top 4 teams, you're going to have a shot at some championship banners. The Commodores put their 8-0 record on the line tonight at Memorial Gym against SMU, also undefeated. As you mentioned, Vanderbilt number 17 in the country. That's an 8:15 start on the SEC network. It's among the late games in the SEC Challenge tonight, or the SEC ACC, depending on your perspective. 6 o'clock, you've got number 6 Louisville going to number 25 Arkansas in the everybody hates John Calipari game, I guess. That's an interesting.
I was really hoping that game was at the KFC Center in Louisville. I was really hoping they could just get him one more time. Obviously those days when obviously he was at Kentucky as well.
Yeah. Alabama's got Clemson coming in. Number 20 Auburn has NC State coming. Texas is at home against Virginia. Mississippi State and Georgia Tech, and LSU goes north to Boston College, rounding out tonight's 7-game slate in the SEC ACC Challenge. We'll be keeping an eye on that. Down at Bridgestone Arena last night, the Predators found some offense. 5 goals in a 4-goal victory over visiting Calgary. Man, don't quite know what to make of that.
Ann Kimmel's not used to that kind of high-scoring affair of late.
neither is whoever was in goal for the Preds, I don't imagine. I mean, it's got to be nice to have a little room for error there probably, but Saros 27 stops on the night. When you get that, you're going to have a shot. The Preds scored 3 goals in the second period, kind of broke it open. They were up 4-0 going into the third period and held on. Good for them. It's nice to see,
Yeah,
especially at home.
Yeah, they've won 3 out of their last 4. So, if you're looking for that glass half full kind of, take from me, maybe they're slowly figuring things out as we enter, the beginning of December and maybe can start piecing things together and potentially, get themselves at least in contention, right? I think that's what, fans want is for them to play competitive hockey and meaningful hockey down the stretch. So we'll see if that is the case. You probably know when the next they hit the ice coming up. But 3 out of 4. So looking forward to seeing what they can do coming up.
3 out of 4. Their next game is tomorrow night at 2-time Stanley Cup champion Florida.
Yeah, but they're only 12 and I'm looking at it now. They're only 12-1 on the year. So it's not like they're setting the world on fire. So look, try to keep the momentum going on some road ice.
We'll see how that goes. Big night last night. They kind of spread the scoring around, but you got a goal out of Marchessault, and you got one out of Stamkos. So guys that are supposed to be scoring are scoring. It's good to see. An assist from Evangelista. So I don't know. Hope springs eternal, and especially in this town because things have been so bleak.
It can't get no much
on
worse.
so many different
it can't
levels.
get worse than
Yeah.
what it is right now.
It's tough. It's really tough for a lot of Nashville pro teams, including the NFL franchise that goes to Cleveland this weekend. Snow is expected. It's supposed to be around 35 degrees. I mean, everything you would expect in Cleveland in December. And, the Shador Cam show.
That's what I was going to get to, and you hit me on it. I'm not ready for the takes because I truly believe that Cleveland is going to win this football game. I mean, their defense is dominant when you have Myles Garrett on one side and him potentially lining up against J.C. Latham, who was a turnstile last week at times against Jacksonville. Cam Ward is on danger alert. But they're going to make it about Shador and whether or not he should have been the number 1 pick over Cam when Cam, I mean, he does not have the resources around him to be successful right now. You're asking this guy to do a lot for a rookie quarterback. I'm not ready for those takes. I know it's coming from some network that you don't watch that on Comcast is number 11. But the Titans have to be better and get this man some help. And it starts by, in my mind, they're going to have the number 1 pick. They got to trade back and acquire more picks to get more bites at the apple.
More picks or more players or something, probably more picks, like you said, and let everybody kind of get experience together. But it's just bleak, and it's tough to watch. And when you're going into Sunday watching these guys, it's almost how are they going to lose this week? So at least there will be some buzz around the Shador and Cam situation. I don't know that Cleveland necessarily wants to see Shador get off, though, just for the points that you just made. I mean, I don't know that they necessarily want to deal with those takes, that talk, that kind of thing. So I don't know. I think it's an unfortunate situation for both those quarterbacks, actually. So we'll see who can make the most out of it when they tee it up Sunday afternoon. We talked a little bit about the Grizzlies and your Spurs during the rundown. Memphis had been on a little bit of a roll. I don't know that there's necessarily any shame in losing to the Spurs, particularly coming from where Memphis was coming from. But they had been on a little bit of a roll, went on the road, took a tough one on the chin. Not sure what they've got next, but they've got the Clippers Friday back at FedEx Forum. So
who are now Chris Paulus after his kind of fiasco in the morning. I mean, that's one of the all-time great players, granted no ring. in NBA history, done so much for that Clippers franchise, and for that to be the case, man, that's a really sad situation. Definitely when he's kind of said this was his swan song year in the league. So hopefully maybe somebody picks him up and gives an opportunity to close out playing. But man, the NBA is weird, Mo. Like I didn't have Detroit as the leader in the East at 17-4. Like it's just. And obviously, Oklahoma City's a freaking juggernaut at 21-1. I mean, goodness gracious. So there's just so much going on, right?
Well, Cade Cunningham finally coming into his own, it sounds like. But I had seen these Chris Paul headlines, but I had not had a chance to take a look at it. I'm doing so now. Announced about a week and a half ago that he was going to retire at the end of this season. Clippers played a video to honor him when they came back home from that last night in the middle of a road trip. Team president and former University of Tennessee assistant coach Lawrence Frank and the Clippers make a move to be done with Chris Paul. In a statement from Frank, he called Paul a legendary Clipper who has had a historic career. Also said, no one is blaming Chris for our underperformance, and the Clippers are grateful for the impact Chris has made on our franchise.
I mean, they have not played well, and he has not played well either.
Yeah, I mean it's just tough, like you said, and they are 5-16. So obviously, like you said, he and they were not playing well, but goodness gracious. I don't know what a guy deserves necessarily in a situation like that, but it just feels like Chris Paul deserved more than that under the circumstances. Maybe call him in and say, hey, give him a chance to do it on his own. I don't know. It's odd stuff, but there's no sentiment in sports, I don't guess.
Yeah, I mean, the guy has done so much for your franchise, right? Like when I think about the Clippers, I don't think about Paul George. I don't think about Kawhi Leonard. I think about Lob City. I think about Chris Paul, Blake Griffin, DeAndre Jordan, right? Like those were the days that I think about with the Clippers. And so for obviously that franchise legend after coming over the Hornets when they were the New Orleans Hornets at the time. So sad situation. Wish he could have gone out per se on his own terms.
So here's the deal. He hasn't been waived. He can't be traded for another 2 weeks, according to this article on CBSSports.com.
But they sent him home from the road trip, correct? They sent him home. You're not going to play.
And I mean, if they've not waived him, then he's still on the roster, right?
But basically told him now that you're not going to play?
Yeah. That's odd.
Okay.
But so are the Clippers. Oh, well. We'll see how that works out. Hopefully he'll get another shot.
Considering that their star player doesn't play very much.
Yeah, to say the least. Let's take a break here as we continue Wild and Wacky Wednesday on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. In the final segment, David and I will bring you the weirdest, wildest, and wackiest news from across the globe. But when we come back, we'll be joined by Heather Williams of WCYB-TV out of Johnson City to talk a little NASCAR. Stick around.
This holiday season, the largest lantern festival in the country returns to Nashville Zoo. Experience more than 1,000 all-new handcrafted lanterns, towering creatures, magical worlds, and a North Pole village. At the center of it all, the Smashville Ice Rink. Welcome back to Zoolumination at Nashville Zoo. Bigger, brighter, and better than ever.
Nashville's Nutcracker, presented by Nashville Ballet, returns to TPAC November 29th through December 28th. This holiday season, audiences will journey with Clara and the Nutcracker Prince through Nashville's history and the land of sweets. Tickets on sale at NashvilleBallet.com.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50-plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily, as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Wild and Wacky Wednesday continues here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. That's David Wilson. I'm Maurice Patton. Joining us now, one of David's favorite guests. And I'm probably just going to dip out and let David and Heather Williams from WCYB-TV out of Johnson City talk NASCAR here this segment, because I add nothing. But Heather, good afternoon.
Excuse me. Good afternoon, Mo. But I think that this conversation we're about to have transcends NASCAR. It's bigger than NASCAR. It's really about sports monopoly. So you might have some interesting questions to chime in with.
That's what I try to do, is try to kind of give you the alley for the oop in these conversations. So yeah, you all right over there?
Yeah, I'll make it.
Okay, good. We don't need any casualties on the air. Oh, and Heather is with us strictly audio because she is heading to an event that before we get into NASCAR, I'm kind of interested in as well. Heather, tell the people where you're headed.
I'm headed to a private baseball camp for about 50 kids that benefits the Jeremiah School, which is a private school here in town. But the main event is Evan Carter, former World Series champion from Elizabethton.
Texas Ranger guy.
Outfielder. Yep. And so David, when she said that this was why she would be audio only today, I asked her, how is his back? She said, I'll find out when I get there. So that will be, when we talk to you next, that will be one of the key questions. So how is Evan's back? Because we want to see that guy back performing, man. He really kind of whet a lot of people's appetites with his performance in the postseason as the Rangers rolled to that World Series championship back in 22. So keep us posted on that. But, so much of the setup has been NASCAR versus Michael Jordan. I guess it's kind of the deep pockets theory in print there. But 2311 and Front Row Motorsports and NASCAR are in a courtroom in Charlotte. I guess it's day 3 of that. And it's funny to me, Heather, because you mentioned sports monopolies, and the judge has already said, yeah, NASCAR has a monopoly. The question is, how much damage have they done with it?
Yeah, and to be honest with you, all sports leagues are monopolies, and they're recognized as such. And being a monopoly in and of itself is not a violation of the antitrust rules. What's at question here, and what would be a violation, is: are you using that monopoly unfairly? Are you demonstrating unfair business practices in the minority in the monopoly? Are you using your monopoly to squash competition? So that's really what is in question in this trial, more so than, yes, they're a monopoly. The NFL's a monopoly. We know that. We know Major League Baseball, NBA, NHL, those are all monopolies. But, are you using your power for good, or are you using it for evil?
I saw an article earlier this week, and while it's kind of ancillary to what's actually going on, so much of the discovery has been what has been kind of newsworthy around a lot of this, text messaging and that kind of thing, that has not been a great look for a lot of folks.
Yeah, it's definitely saucy. It's definitely TMZ-esque. Some of the, how would I describe it? The cattiness and
Mhm.
name calling and talking behind people's backs and text messages and stuff. It's fascinating because you never really know what people think of other people until you find out how they're talking about them when they're not around. And so we got a little glimpse into that, both from the 2311 Front Row Motorsports side as well as from the NASCAR side. And what's interesting, especially, well, actually on both sides, is how much, the owners that signed the charter NASCAR necessarily didn't always think that, and then sometimes within 2311, Denny and Michael and Curtis Polker, the owners, didn't always think the greatest of each other. So I don't know how much of any of this plays into the court proceedings, although I do know that 2311 plans on calling Richard Childress as a witness. He's one of the guys that NASCAR trash, called him an ignorant redneck and a dumb hillbilly. So, a guy who signed the charter, who could have been a asset to NASCAR, depending on how he takes all this, could be an asset to 2311. We'll find out.
Well, and I was just getting ready to ask you, Heather, if there was anybody in all of that back and forth catching any strays necessarily, and it sounds like maybe Richard Childress was the one, or was one anyway.
Yeah, he definitely caught the most and the biggest strays in all this. I mean, there's talk about Joe Gibbs Racing co-owner Heather Gibbs and some of the things that she had going on. There's some talk that involves Jeff Dickerson, who is one of the co-owners of Spire Motorsports. There's talk about Joe Gibbs himself and his race team. So there's a lot of talk specifically about who's on our team being NASCAR and who's not on our team, and who do we need to talk about, who do we need to pinpoint, who do we need to get to come to our side or whatever. But the biggest stray definitely is Richard Childress, which is disappointing.
So they've definitely not taken.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you go ahead.
I was just going to say it's disappointing because he's one of the guys, that this sport was built on. I mean, he's the guy that brought us Dale Earnhardt. To then call him a dumb redneck, or, stupid hillbilly or whatever the exact phrasings were. I mean, says a lot about what, to me anyway, says a lot about what current NASCAR leadership thinks about the sport's history.
Folks definitely have not taken an every mic is hot approach in their texts, huh?
Yeah, so I heard somebody say this, and I thought I got a good chuckle out of it. Have these people never heard of WhatsApp? Why or just everything ever electronic instant message, whatever.
Mark, did we lose Heather? Oh, there we go.
Uh-oh, gone again.
Yeah, hopefully. I imagine she is driving. And are you there, Heather?
Yeah, she's breaking
Connection through the hills of East Tennessee.
Yeah, northeast, upper. Oh, there. Yeah, you are in and out. Yeah, you're in and out, Heather. Hopefully we can get you in. Heather Williams of WCYB-TV out of Johnson City, trying to join us here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, as we talk about the NASCAR court proceedings with 2311 and Front Row Motorsports regarding charters and how people have to purchase those to run in the Cup Series, et cetera, et cetera. And again, I'm a little out of left field on this, as I am most things NASCAR. David, you may have a better feel for a lot of this, so I'm gonna kind of yield to you.
Yeah, I was curious just kinda to ask Heather if she's somehow listening with us and still connected. Where do we go from here, right? Obviously, this has been, again, a dispute between 23XI, obviously led by, Michael Jordan and Denny Hamlin, who drives for Joe Gibbs Racing, and obviously Front Row Motorsports that has gone on for some time right now. So where is the means to an end in all this and what we could see happen, when it comes to all this litigation and things of that nature?
Hmm. I think Heather bounced. I think
Okay.
hopefully she's gonna come back in.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
absolutely. So yeah,
Mark
it's a messy situation, right? Definitely when you have teams, particularly at 23XI with Tyler Reddick and Bubba Wallace, who have been competing really well. I mean, both were in the playoff mix this past season in the NASCAR Cup Series. Two drivers in the round of 16. Obviously, Bubba Wallace, the lone black driver, African American driver, excuse me, in NASCAR, won at the Brickyard 400 in Indianapolis, and then obviously Tyler Reddick has had quite a bit of success with 23XI, driving the Toyota Camry and McDonald's and Monster Energy to say the least. So there's definitely some money and some stardom that are involved with the 23XI driver. Their future could be affected with the decisions that these courts make in Charlotte, North Carolina. So obviously, this is a reason why we wanted to have Heather on to talk about all this because it definitely has an effect. And you mentioned Richard Childress potentially looking into suing NASCAR for their comments that their president Steve Phelps had made. I mean, he's a really a key partner when it comes to Chevrolet. Obviously, with Kyle Busch and Austin Dillon driving for him, so it's a sticky time to be in NASCAR to say the least. Normally, this is the down season. We're not really thinking about NASCAR until we can get to February into Daytona and the Daytona 500. Well, these court cases and what Rich Childress is potentially thinking about doing has NASCAR on the front page when necessarily doesn't want to be.
doesn't want to be at all, particularly for the reasons that they are. And it's kind of wild that, you know, this current court proceeding is going to be the reason for the next one should Childress actually go forward with that. And you don't really see any reason that he wouldn't, I don't guess. So really an awkward position for NASCAR to be in, and it sounds like a lot of it of their own doing.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And I mean, NASCAR's really struggled, the last couple of years with its base and its audience. Obviously, it's kind of shifted and kind of like with these other sports where they moved to Amazon Prime and they've now gone back to some other networks. And so we'll see what they've done. They've had success here. I'm in Wilson County, so I'll speak locally at the Lebanon Raceway up in Gladeville. They've done a really good job of being able to fill the stands for their weekend, whether it's the trucks, the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series now, the formerly mentioned Xfinity Series, and now the Monster Energy Cup Series. But they've tried to move around and try to pique interest in places. They're going to race on a naval base this upcoming season in San Diego. They went to race at the Circuit of Americas in Austin last year. They made a race in Mexico City. So I believe Heather is back on. Heather, are you there for us?
Yes, I switched phones. My phone just had a freak
Okay.
out for some reason.
No, you're fine. We appreciate you coming back. And I guess kind of the question that I asked you before you left us is where do we go from here with all this, the court rulings and things of that nature? Where do we feel like the means to an end is here?
Well, where we go is very dependent on what happens, what the outcome of this is. If 23XI and Front Row Motorsports are successful in the lawsuit, it's very much going to change the sport. Depending on what kind of damages are awarded, 23XI and Front Row could get up to 3 times damage of what they're asking. So more revenue share, less money from NASCAR, like in their pockets. How does that change the sport? Does the sport break up? They at odds in this lawsuit are things like NASCAR's squashing series like SRX and trying to keep competitive down, buying series like ARCA so that they don't pop up as competitors to NASCAR. So does the court order breakup of NASCAR? Do they make them sell off ARCA? Do they make them sell off some of their racetracks which they own? Does it change the relationship that they have with Speedway Motorsports, which owns Nashville, which owns is very dependent on this. If NASCAR 2311 and Front Row Motorsports do not get their charters back, they probably won't exist in a year. Michael Jordan has made a promise to his employees that they will run through the end of the 26th season. He will have to probably fund that out of his own money, but I don't think Michael Jordan in the business of wanting to, lose millions of dollars. One of the things that was in deposition is Front Row Motorsports co-owner Bob Jenkins, who's from Morristown, said that he's lost $1 million since he opened his race team in 2004. I mean, that's insane. Who wants to lose $10 million? Even if you have $100 million, who wants to lose 10?
You don't want to lose 10. Right.
So, what's next is completely in the hands of this judge and of this jury.
Heather Williams from WCYB-TV out of Johnson City joining us on Main Street Sports today. Heather, as we were talking while you were working your way back, Richard Childress, if he pursues legal action as well, it's like NASCAR out of the frying pan into the fire, regardless of how this situation with the charters go. They are going to be under fire once again. And as you said, by one of kind of the sports cornerstones.
Yeah, I don't really know what's going to happen, with that. There have been a lot of fans on social media now. I mean, I know it's social media, but don't believe that Steve Phelps, who's the commissioner of NASCAR, can survive this. He's the one that called these names to Richard Childress. He has apologized to Richard, said it was heat of the moment. They were in the thick of negotiations, and he was just burning off steam and whatever. But I think it's going to be, even if he survives by keeping his job, I think it's going to be very hard for his reputation, that being Steve Phelps, to survive what was said, because you can't take it back.
And it's the optics of it. I mean, that's going to stick with NASCAR fans, I would think, as much as anything.
Yeah, a lot of which, by the way, identify themselves as stupid rednecks. So, you don't really.
The lines have been drawn. Yeah.
Right. Because Phelps is very much an outsider. He came from the NFL. He did not come up through the ranks of NASCAR. He's been in NASCAR for close to 20 years now, but he started, his career in the NFL. So, he's the guy that was looked as an outsider in all of this.
Heather, it's kind of been finalized, and this is just kind of us dipping back into competitive competition really quick. The horsepower changes for the Cup Series starting next year, and what tracks they will be increased at. Just kind of give us your overall thoughts on that. This is something that the drivers really had pushed for over the last couple of years with the next-gen car, and they're seemingly kind of getting a step in the direction of what they want.
Yeah, and they had a test here at Bristol that was closed to test the horsepower and a few other things. Changes to some of the aerodynamics of some of the cars and such. I don't think it's going to be the savior that a lot of people are hoping it will be on short tracks like Bristol and some of the tracks where this car has struggled a little bit.
Limitations.
Yeah, but I think it can help. I think if you get a little bit of horsepower and combined with the softer tires, which has helped, it gets you closer to where you want to be. I think a lot of people forget, there's a lot of people that have been opining for particularly the car tomorrow, which is crazy for me, because when that car was actually running, people called it a flying brick. I mean, it was just an ugly car that, especially at the start, had the problems that we're talking about with the next gen car and then some. But eventually they got it to where it was decently racy before they switched into the Gen 6 car. So I think we'll get to better racing eventually. Just NASCAR fans are impatient. We know that. We all are impatient.
We are, that's to say the least. So,
Heather Williams of WCYB-TV out of Johnson City. Heather, what's next NASCAR wise? We have awards coming up, that kind of thing. What's on the calendar here over the next?
So they
bit?
already did awards. They've changed
Okay.
the way they did awards. They now do it 2 days after the championship in the city where the championship is. That is called, every industry, drivers included, want to get on to their very, very short vacation before we start back up, because NASCAR is the longest season in all of sport. So believe it or not, I got an email in my inbox yesterday that credential window is now open for the Clash at Bowman Gray, which will be February the 2nd. So we are, as soon as they turn the calendar on 2026, we'll start having media days for teams. Then people will be full steam ahead for Daytona and for the Clash, which are in early February. So we're 2 weeks away from getting back on or 2 months away from getting back on the track.
And I can imagine really quickly before Mo hops in that you're really excited about Connor Zilic joining the Cup ranks with Trackhouse and being teammates with Shane or SVG as he's referred to on this show, Shane Van Gisbergen at Trackhouse with Justin Marks and Ross Chastain for that matter.
Well, they certainly should not ever be at a loss to the road course, because they have probably the 2 best road course drivers in the garage. What's going to be really interesting to see is, how much can Ross help bring along the other 2. And Connor's is a decent oval driver. He got much better in this year in Xfinity, won some races. How much can he help bring along the other 2 on the ovals, and how much can SVG and Connor help Ross on the road courses? Now, Ross is pretty good on the road courses as well. So I think that if it all goes the way that Justin sees it in his mind, the potential is for it to be a really good season for Trackhouse. Win a lot of races.
Were you thinking 3 playoff cars?
I would say maybe. I mean, because I think that Zilic could definitely steal a spot by winning on a road course. But to do that, he does have to beat his teammate, who, oh, by the way, is probably the best road course driver in the world.
Absolutely.
There we go. Heather Williams of WCYB-TV joining us. Heather, how was your Thanksgiving?
I was working.
Well, in working, were you able to avoid Chiefs Cowboys?
I'm sorry, you parking lot.
Conveniently, I said, by working, were you able to avoid Chiefs Cowboys?
Oh no, I watched that mess. I did watch that mess.
That's kind of what I was expecting there. I'm
Is
sorry.
it over?
Yeah, there we go. That's.
The thing is that the Chiefs are still odds-on favorite to make the playoffs, which I find absolutely ridiculous.
So there we go. She thinks it's over, David.
For the sake of my fantasy team, which is in the Final Four this weekend, I need Patrick Mahomes to have a down week. He is the opposition, so I hate to wish ill intent against your Chiefs, but I need the Houston defense to show up this weekend.
Well, I mean, he's the one guy that doesn't really have down weeks, so I don't know if that's going to work out for you.
Thanks for the encouragement.
Heather Williams joining us here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Heather, tell Evan we said, hey, enjoy your outing this evening, and hopefully we'll catch up with you soon.
Sounds good, guys.
Thank you. Let's take a break here, our final break of the afternoon on Wild and Wacky Wednesday here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. When we come back, it is Wild and Wacky Wednesday. David and I will get you the weirdest, wildest, and wackiest news from across the globe. Stay tuned.
The winning just got closer. All new Sportsbook, the latest gaming machines, live horse racing, and more. The Mid Gaming Hall, Kentucky Downs.
Winning just got closer.
Being in Tennessee, we wanted to try to keep it as local as possible, so we have an entire section of our menu that is just dedicated to local whiskeys like Uncle Nearest, Jack Daniels, of course, George Dickel, Nelson Brothers, Greenbrier whiskey, and all of our taps are all local. From 2 o'clock until midnight, we've got food every day for you guys. A good handful of appetizers, some entrees, and a couple salads and things like that. My name is Ethan Kanata. Please come down and see us at the Pick Lobby Bar here at the Omni in Nashville.
There's a line that links us all. Most of the time, we don't even think about it, but it's everywhere. Illuminating our neighborhoods, empowering our businesses, and helping us to recharge. Whether it comes from our grids, the sun, or a kind heart, we believe in the power of good energy. And as your family and region continue to grow, you can trust that we'll always be there for you. Middle Tennessee Electric, bringing good energy.
It's the final segment of Wild and Wacky Wednesday here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, which means it's time for Wild and Wacky Wednesday, where we bring you the weirdest, wildest, and wackiest news from across the globe. With sports, in England, 48 hours ball is what 24 athletes participated in over this past week. Dodge Central and the Hartlepool Mavericks dodgeball event at 9 o'clock on Saturday morning, finished at world records book for longest dodgeball marathon. It's amazing to me some of the records that actually exist. The previous record was 41 hours. Castleton State College in Vermont raised more than $1,000 for the men's health charity Movember and the breast cancer charity Copperfield. So, it was for a good cause.
I'm down for some dodgeball, Mo. That takes me back to them old middle school PE days. So, I never minded letting the old cannon let loose and, ripping one across the gym floor to see if I could tag somebody. So, I would participate in this. Now, I'm not one to like to get hit now. I might cop an attitude, but I'll definitely like to unleash one across the room.
I saw a clip once of some young lady who was obviously a softball pitcher who was just picking folks off left and right with her underhand throwing motion. I mean, I would want to recruit like 4 softball pitchers like that for my volleyball team and stand behind them and take my chances. So, yeah. I think that's how I would go about it.
I can roll with the dodgeball. Some of the world records that Calvin pulls out, because I kind of assign Wild and Wacky to him because, it just so fits his personality. He's so straight-faced. And I have to try to get him to smile a little bit. So most of the stuff that they do, like, I would never imagine or attempt to do or want to do. But there's a few occasions like this where, David would participate.
I'm not trying to do it for 48 hours, though.
Yeah, I'm gonna need me a nap or something. Power nap, Yeah, that's rough. That's rough. Sleep. I'm already sleep deprived as it is.
Yeah, right. Here's another one I'm not trying to do. A guy in Idaho ran a half marathon, which I'm not trying to do, but I'm definitely not trying to do it while wearing 137 t-shirts, 48 pounds of t-shirts. David Rush, whose nickname is Record Breaker, because he
Yeah.
holds the most concurrent Guinness World Record titles, set the record for most t-shirts worn during a half marathon 6 years ago when he wore 111 t-shirts while running a half marathon. That record was later broken by a runner wearing 127 shirts. So he started training to retake his title, running in heavy clothes and wearing weighted backpacks. Attempted the record at the famous Idaho Potato Half Marathon, had to call it off at 114 t-shirts when he started to lose circulation in his neck. It's not a place you want to lose circulation, by the way.
No. And to be honest with you, you couldn't get me to run a half marathon with my normal clothes on, let alone 114 shirts on my back.
Let alone 137.
David Rush is a frequent contributor to this segment. He's a favorite of one Calvin White. But yeah, the only running I do, Mo, is or speed walking is to the fridge. So running days are over. You're good if I get a 15-minute walk on the treadmill.
Again, wore 137 t-shirts while running this year's famous Idaho Potato Half Marathon to regain his record. After years of effort and one spectacular failed event, I'm finally reclaimed the Guinness World Record title, so I'm glad I didn't give up. It was a mix of determination, creativity, endurance, and a lot of t-shirts. I'm going to tell you, though, if I start to lose circulation in my neck, I'm done. Somebody else can have that record, man. That's scary.
Somebody at that point better help me get them clothes off my back.
Right. Surely you just cut them off, right? I mean, who's sitting there
I don't know
peeling
if you
off
have movement of your arms while you're running that much. I really don't think like he's running out by his arms by his side. He has to, like that weight on the side of the arms by the bicep, tricep. He's probably not having much motion or flexibility of them arms when he's running with that weight.
Well, I mean, look at that picture of him. He looks like Gru
he
from
looks very
Despicable
awkward.
Me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just imagine if you're running beside him, like, what is this guy doing? What is he on?
Yeah.
He needs to get tested.
That's kind of nuts. But congratulations to David, record breaker Rush there. In Virginia, saw this here over the last couple of days. Raccoon goes on drunken rampage in Virginia liquor store and passes out on bathroom floor is the headline on this Associated Press article. In Ashland, Virginia, broke into the closed liquor store early on Saturday, hit the bottom.
Whoa!
The bottom here with liquor. Yeah, if you're familiar with liquor stores, the bottom shelf is where the cheap stuff is. So at least he wasn't going for the good stuff, but bottles were smashed, a ceiling tile collapsed, and alcohol pooled on and again,
I'm sure he enjoyed quite a little bit of
Saturday morning. They found they found the raccoon just passed out.
He got him a nice little drink. He enjoyed. He made a trip to the bathroom.
The employee took the raccoon. Animal control officer Samantha Martin took the raccoon back to the animal shelter.
He had him a good time.
Another life in the an animal control officer, I guess. After a few hours of sleep and zero signs of injury, other than maybe a hangover and poor life choices, he was safely released back to the wild, hopefully having learned that breaking and entering is not the answer. Control agency.
I'm sure if he has him a
I'm
bad
sure
day
he's
in the
got a
wild, he
story to
know
tell his I
exactly.
guess.
Yeah, I'm sure if he has another bad day in the wild, he know exactly where he needs to go to solve his problems.
There you go. There you go. Just drink your woes away. Meanwhile, in Southern California, a black bear invaded the crawl space of a man's house. Ken Johnson had a new roommate, a black bear. The bear was seen on video footage coming out from under the house. Installed a camera near the backspace, the space in June when he saw what looked like damage caused by an animal. Nothing showed up until this past week, and now he's trying to figure out how to make it leave. Described the bear as tall as a table and bigger than this house. It's really unnerving because I don't know if he's going to tear everything up under there. I don't know how to get him out. And I would imagine that's good because, I mean, that's where your ductwork is for your central units and that kind of thing. That's if he gets under there and gets a little miss, there's all sorts of damage he could do. The bear was too large to be tranquilized. Employees from Fish and Wildlife set a bear trap, eventually took the bear to the National Forest. It's wild stuff.
I mean, you got to be
A
careful in
bear.
these areas of the country where you live. I mean, you got to be careful. I mean, wildlife is everywhere. So
Well, I mean,
that would
you've
be a
seen
fear
the
of mine.
clips of folks. You've seen the clips of folks in Gatlinburg stepping out of their condo or whatever, and there's a bear walking around their car or around the trash cans outside the condo, that kind of thing. No, I'm
I
good.
properly walk my butt back in the house.
That's it. That's it. Now, they can have everything outside. Yep. Just don't come in. In Michigan, meanwhile, and I think Wade and I actually talked about this when it initially took place last year. Michigan veterinarian who refused to return ailing dog to homeless man to spend 10 days in jail. Amanda Hergenrieder's lawyer requested 120 hours of community service for her missed larceny conviction. The judge in charge said jail was more appropriate plus $1,000 in restitution. So, excuse me. Reader was in Grand Rapids for a professional conference, saw the 16-year-old dog tied to a truck near a coffee shop. Honestly, took him to her clinic 2 hours away, cleared up a severe urinary tract infection, and removed a rotten tooth. Refused to give Chris Hamilton his dog back. Hamilton was a Grand Rapids man who lacked a permanent home at the time. She said her ethical veterinarian and the fact that the dog was not licensed prompted her decision. Over a 2-day trial, a jury convicted her. She says she saw a dog in distress, also acknowledged that she failed to see the whole picture. I failed to honor the bond between Vinny and Mr. Hamilton. I failed to recognize the heartbreak that would follow. I failed to stop, think, and ask questions. And I guess she'll have time to think about that. 10 days to be exact.
Yeah.
Let's go. Thanks for joining us here on Wild and Wacky Wednesday. Calvin and I will be here tomorrow with you starting at 2 o'clock as we get ready for basketball, among other things. So 2 o'clock tomorrow. Y'all have a great Wednesday.